bring it back to the infrastructure question. If you are to continue growing the delivery of digital services to the population, and you talked about massively online learning, the content has to come from our institutions, otherwise it's coming from offshore. Is the infrastructure in place to do that?
If I look at the area of additional cost, like taxation, for example, I strongly believe that infrastructure should not be taxed, because you understand that if there is a fundamental impact in the last mile, in the area of economic impact, then that area can be taxed. But when there's more, so the whole idea of multiple taxation for us is not local government, state, everybody taxing. It's the mile, it's the journey. Because if you understand the fact that at the end of the day, it's about where it is finally used, then the whole focus shifts to that last mile, so that people like MTN and other operators who are seated can be encouraged in terms of more investment in that space. So what I was saying in essence is that because the nature of broadband is completely different, the support that is required to drive that investment must also be in view, because I don't believe that is currently something that is seen from that holistic point of view.
For us at ETA, what we're doing is that we're creating innovative solutions that makes these products affordable to the masses of general population. So you have your farmer, as you mentioned, your farmer in the village, or your other person in the rural area who wants access to content, but that content has to be affordable. However, there is a cost to putting that infrastructure out there for consumers. So there has to be, from a regulator perspective, we have to also protect operators such that we can guarantee a certain minimum return, and with that, operators will feel empowered to continue to invest.
David, you talked about the industry needing sanity. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think it touches on the point just made. I think when you look at pricing in the market, there's a lot of anti-competitive issues that are floating around at the moment. And the problem is, with the economy the way it is and the vulnerability of all the operators, this is a very difficult time for all operators. And this is a time when, if you've got significant market power, if you strike now, you can do a lot of damage. In order to come out of it at the end, in a much stronger position. So what we're looking for is sanity in terms of making sure that all the operators make reasonable decisions, and it's not too cutthroat to the point where we end up with only half the operators left at the end of it.
If you look around the world, and I guess while the data price floor and with the devaluation that we've seen in the currency and the dollar inputs, as we all know, is a real issue, there's still other means of addressing the issue of cost and price. Why are we not as equally aggressive on some of those other strategies? What other strategies do you think would work?
Yes, of course, one needs a broad set of initiatives to drive the sustainability of telecoms companies. But I think the price floor is about making sure that incremental investments can be made to support coverage and capacity. Certainly, we see ourselves having to work very hard to justify incremental coverage. And coverage is important for this broadband initiative because it's broadband for all. And there are some places where you will not get the levels of usage that you see in Lagos where we are today. And that investment is hard to justify. If there is a price floor, yes, it may well create this sense of hardship, but it will create more access to broadband in areas that you simply can't justify without those price levels.
How do you view this economic issue? I mean, is it biting you, or how do you view it assisting the rest of the industry with respect to achieving this broadband target?
Economic issue is biting everybody, madam. I'm sure when I said Vodafone doesn't mean I have a deep pocket. It's biting everybody. But I think what we do in Vodacom is because a lot of our customers are enterprise customers, We also try to play in what I call the carrier-of-carrier space. Okay, so a lot of the LTE providers in Nigeria are our customers. So we use that, the economies of scale, as part of the WACS consortium to bring a lot of capacity into Nigeria.
How have things changed in the past 2 years, despite the slowdown in investment with respect to some of those changes or structural changes proposed in the broadband plan, and have those had a positive impact on the growth of your business?
Yeah, I think one thing that I have noticed as an operator is certainly the cost of international bandwidth, which was our main input cost for our business. That has changed dramatically over the past 2 years. There is competition there, and we can choose suppliers based on quality of service as well as costs as well. So, but that has made a big difference. Where I think we need some more work there to fulfil the plan is, if you look ahead 3 to 5 years from now and you assume that we succeed as an industry and we get broadband, good, decent broadband in most cities and towns across the country, and 3 to 5 years, that's doable. You would have to have a national fibre backbone that connects all those cities. If you haven't got that, you can't possibly achieve it. So that's a key enabler. So if you put aside all the exchange rate, forex issues and investment issues in the economy at the moment, assume they're all fixed, there's still a big issue of how do you connect these cities up. To be a key enabler to go forward and get all the towns and cities connected, Nigeria needs some form of national fibre broadband operator.